Hey everyone, so I saw a story today that I wanted to share with you all, and it's that American billionaires got $434 billion richer during the pandemic. So this story is from CNBC, and I will link it in the description box. So basically, the story goes on to say America's billionaires saw their fortunes soar by 434 billion during the U.S. lockdown between mid-March and mid-May, according to a new report. Amazon's Jeff Bezos and Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg had the biggest gains, with Bezos adding 34.6 billion to his wealth and Zuckerberg adding 25 billion, according to the report from American Tax Fairness and the Institute of Policy Studies Program for Inequality. The report is based on Forbes data for America's more than 600 billionaires between March 18th and when most states were locked down, and May 19th. So the first thing I want to point out, because I know all the critics are going to say, "Oh, this is just the value of their stock going up." That is where this is coming. I'm acknowledging that up front. Just before I get into the rest of the story, I'm acknowledging that yes, this isn't like $34.6 billion just got like deposited into Jeff Bezos' bank account. Like, yes, I understand that this isn't like necessarily the most liquid form of wealth. It is stock. Stock is fairly liquid. Like, you could argue that it's not liquid when we're talking about this quantity, like this amount. But I mean, stock is it's not that illiquid. But no, he did not just get like $34.6 billion worth of cash. So the billionaire gains highlight how the coronavirus pandemic has rewarded the largest, most tech-focused companies, even as the economy and labor force grapple with the worst economic crisis in recent history. According to the report, the net worth of America's billionaires grew 15% during the 2 month period to 3.82 trillion and from 2.948 trillion. The biggest gains were at the top of the billionaire period, with the richest five billionaires Bezos, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett, and Larry Ellison seeing combined wealth gain of 76 billion. Sorry about that. Elon Musk had among the largest percentage gain of billionaires during the 2 months, seeing his net worth jump by 48% in the 2 months to 36 billion. Zuckerberg was close behind, seeing his wealth surge by 46% in the 2 months to 80 billion. Bezos' wealth increased 31% to 147 billion. Bezos' ex-wife Mackenzie Bezos, who received Amazon shares in their divorce, also saw her wealth increase to by a third to 48 billion. Because the study timeline captures the stock market bottom and quick rebound, it creates a slightly sunnier picture for billionaires than the full year. For the year, Buffett's wealth has declined 20 billion according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, with Gates down 4.3 billion for the year. Jeff Bezos has gained 35.5 billion, while Zuckerberg is up 9 billion. There were some losers during the 2 month period, especially for billionaires in the travel, hospitality, or retail business, who have yet to see their stocks and companies recover. Ralph Lauren saw his wealth drop by 100 million to 5.6 billion, while hotelier John Pritzker saw his wealth drop by 34 billion to 2.56 billion. All right, and so that's the end of the story. And so I feel like the main takeaway from this is not that like this is less about their wealth going up by a lot and more about the fact that this is so indicative of the stock market not being a reflection of how the economy is doing. Because for a long time, I have not thought that the stock market is the best indicator for the economy. People like to point to that when people talked about like how strong Trump's economy was, they largely talked about the stock market and how much gains like the stock market had. And that's just like when half of Americans don't have any money at all in the stock market, and most of the Americans that do have money in the stock market, it's just in the terms of like 401ks and like mutual funds, like saving plans. And so like, but when half don't have any money invested in the stock market, it just isn't a good indicator of how like the economy is doing. It's an indicator of how wealthy people are doing, the people at the top, and this is just getting highlighted so clearly now with like unemployment just skyrocketing. It's like every week like unemployment goes up by more and more, and like in numbers that would have been record breaking before. But we're just seeing so much now that it's not even surprising at this point. Homelessness is going to be insane when this is all said and done. There's so many people who just aren't able to pay their rent right now. And so like it just isn't. So seeing this like stark contrast of Bezos gaining so much in his wealth, Zuckerberg gaining so much in his wealth, all these billionaires are getting so much money, and like people will say like, oh, you're just being greedy, like, oh, why you hating on the fact that they're doing well? It's that this just isn't indicative of of our economy. This isn't how an economy should work. Like this is, we have these people who are like thriving while other, and it's because it's like, okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to like, they have to sell off their shares or anything? I do think that a wealth tax makes sense. I don't know the specifics. I know that people do have problems with a wealth tax, like what Bernie was proposing. They say that all the capital will leave, um, but it just isn't. This system isn't sustainable. It just isn't, and we should have known that this system isn't sustainable for a long time. I mean, we have it built into our system. We're just like, oh yeah, every 5 or 6 years the economy just kind of crashes. A bunch of people lose their jobs. A bunch of places go out of business. You know, we have recessions. We have recessions built into our system, and it's just like that. People just kind of accept that, and that's just not how it should be. We should not just accept the fact that recessions are going to come. We should try and limit to extinguish those recessions. We should just get rid of them entirely if we can. And that requires regulation, and that requires the government taking more of an active role in preventing like the creation of monopolies and helping certain small businesses thrive. That when everything's not tied into these large corporations that are too big to fail. When these banks are too big to fail, when if a company going out of business will like negatively impact the society, like our society, like to an extreme effect. I think that's a case to be made that it is too big. That it is one company shouldn't have that much power and influence over our economy. That just that seems like a no brainer. The craziest thing to me is that the existence of these companies flies in the face of what capitalism is supposed to believe, because capitalism, like one of the like the biggest, like all the tenets of a free market are no barriers to entry, like there's barely no differentiated goods, and so like everything, like there's a fairly even playing field of all the competitors, and just with these large corporations, that's just not what we have. The barriers to entry are so high to some of these industries, and like what people will say, like, oh, the free market will take care of it. You think Amazon's too big? Oh, the free market will take. How is a startup supposed to even kind of compete with Amazon? And it's like, oh, they just have a good idea, and that's just like people. That's what people will say. They're like, oh, if they just have a good idea and they just work hard, they could take over Amazon. It's like, or like take the place of Amazon, and it's just like they can't. That just the system just isn't designed for that to happen right now. And it's not gonna go that way. Like the free market is not gonna just naturally do it, because like if we just start deregulating the economy right now, that just solidifies the power for these large corporations more, because they're starting with an unfair advantage. And so basically, I just wanted to kind of show this story to you guys, because I really feel like it highlights how the stock market does not determine how good the economy is doing. I just need people to start like getting that in their heads. It does, I guess, indicate how wealthy people might be doing, how stocks are, how stocks specifically are doing, but it doesn't. It isn't a determinant of how the whole economy is doing. It wasn't. It isn't doing it now, and it wasn't doing it before. And so anyway, I hope you guys found this video, somewhat informative. If you disagreed with anything I said, please leave a comment down below. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.